And I think if I go back into my acting career,
Mm.
I had a mentor that had me fall in love with rehearsal more than the performance. And dude, nobody loves some applause more than I do. You know, there are people that like to be told they're pretty and told good job. And I'm definitely one of those words of affirmation guys. But somewhere along the way, both in my fitness journey and in my professional life, I learned to fall in love with the grind and the process of figuring things out. That it became this little game for me. And then
Yeah.
when the audience shows up, you're already ready.
Yeah.
When opportunity knocks, I told you about that event last month, 40,000 people. I had 4 days notice for that event. And
Wow.
one of my mantras in life is I don't get ready, I stay ready. I
Yeah,
stay
I love that.
ready because I show up when there's nobody watching. So when their opportunity does knock, I'm done. I'm ready. It's cool. I want to build that Instagram following. Cool. Are you showing up and posting and serving your audience before the brand sponsorship shows up,
Yeah.
before somebody comes and gives you the opportunity? Are you showing up and doing the podcast, regardless of how many likes it gets, or are you, there's always going to be a new thing. Are you willing to just continue to grind and show up and really have into your heart? I'm telling this story. I'm going to get up and I'm going to tell this story again about first grade Jimmy, or the embarrassing part about, you know, being 100 pounds overweight and moving in with my parents. Cause I'm like, gosh, I'm going to tell it again today because somebody hasn't heard this yet. And
Yeah.
somebody thinks that they're the only one, but somebody heard this story today and they're like, whoa, this dude gets me. Or, oh, if he can, I can. And that's why we got to show up every day. Cause I just feel, Hunter, I really truly believe that every day we show up and don't share a vulnerable piece of our story, it's selfish. It's
Yeah.
not about us anymore. I show up and I made a 13-year career to sharing my story and stories of others in the hopes to get that person sparked. You listen to that podcast, the startup podcast, and that's why you and I are kind of sitting here having this conversation because somebody else shared a vulnerable story about struggling to start a podcast.
Yeah.
There's power in that. And so I just want people to wrap their heads around, you don't know the power of your story, and you don't know it until you start. You got to practice. You got to be willing to be bad. It's going to be bad first. Mine continues to evolve. I go back and listen to interviews and I'm like, oh, I could have, I'm harder on myself and I work on this stuff harder now than I did when I first got started.